World Workplace Europe podcast.
All right. Hey, we're live from Rotterdam, World Workplace 2023. Very excited to be here. My name is Ted Ritter. I head up the global IT community for IFMA. And we're going to have a conversation about technology and FM. Very happy to be joined by my colleagues, Erik Jaspers. Would you tell a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, my name is Erik Jaspers, as stated. I work with a company called Planon. We produce IWMS type of software. And apart from that, I'm part of the IFMA EMEA board for IFMA itself.
Jean-Pierre?
I'm Jean-Pierre Segers. I'm from Belgium. I'm affiliated with the Procos group from Antwerp, Belgium. I'm a university professor, but I'm also a certified facilitator of training for IFMA EMEA. And I have the credentials of FMP and SFP recently, so I'm open for learning experiences.
Mm-hmm. So you're the certified trainer. I heard about you this morning. That's great.
yeah.
I don't mean it.
No, I do actually.
You're breaking the grounds here, are you?
Well, welcome and thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoy our conversation today. So, FM technology, you know, what's going on? We just had this one session, we were talking a lot about cybersecurity, but Jean-Pierre, where do you think the most important focus should be for our community and our profession when it comes to technology?
Mm-hmm. That's a really topical question. What I do when I teach PhD students in Riga, in Latvia, at the university there. And one of my subjects is emerging technologies. And I always start with the introduction that all technologies are now a cocktail of technologies. So technologies are interconnected. So you talk about the very topical thing today, artificial intelligence, not only ChatGPT, but every other aspect that is still emerging in artificial intelligence. But that connects with metaverse, of course. So I would think about a metaverse for facility management. It's developing.
Interesting.
VR, AR, you name it, all connected. So the facility management industry would have a huge interest in looking into how the connectivity can be made with the core of facility management, in my opinion, and with the built environment, of course.
Excellent. Erik, what are your thoughts? You know, where do you see where our focus should be?
Yeah, I love the notion of the interconnectivity of technologies, of course, and I think it's even playing into making this scenery of OT, IT even more difficult and complex to comprehend and basically map out as a facility manager or real estate manager or director, whatever. So basically, typically I take a step back and I say, well, take a step back and look at your field of operations, the company you work for, the country you work in, for instance, and what are the problems, the challenges that you have to meet. Now, for instance, in Europe, which is slightly different from the US, I would say. We have this drive to the Green Deal, which is, of course, a big topic for facility management. And so basically, first try to express the type of action you need to take in order to become compliant or whatever, what the company or the organization is expecting from you. And then, just then go look for the technologies that might help you in doing it. Otherwise, the thing is, you should use AI. Oh yeah, of course, yes, let's use AI. Okay,
no
for
way.
what actually, you know? And that's really a pitfall, because in many cases then you go astray in your projects and you come to a kind of situation that you spent some money, but you really didn't get anywhere, did you?
Yeah. If I may add, I would say that technology is just a means for your core business. It will help develop your core business and take it a step further. And what you say about European Green Deal, very important for us. Think also about the Inflation Reduction Act in the United States, which is the counterpart in the United States. I would add the EU skills agenda.
Yeah.
Because if you talk about, we heard earlier on someone talking about human resources at the opening keynote, the new generations that are coming into the playing field, Generation Z and the next generation, those will be very open to new technologies, but they will also have to develop other skills, hard skills, soft skills, social skills. So there again, interconnectivity, it's one of the focal words, in my opinion, for everything that we do. It all comes together there.
Yeah. But can I respond?
Yeah.
Because what struck me when you said, well, technology is actually a means to an end. And I think to a certain part that's true, but it's also a force of fundamental change. So it's also, when it's being introduced, it's going to fundamentally change other things. So years ago, when I was at school myself, I recall it was of Professor Hammer and Champy. You had business process redesign. It's a book, and basically it was written. I think they were Harvard professors, and they wrote it at the beginning when business applications really came to the market. And their statement, the statement of that book was, you're going to now to adopt technology, so you have to fundamentally revisit the way you do business and the way you run your processes, and you should do it top down completely. Do it completely, rewrite, don't take anything for granted what you do today. To a certain extent, I still believe it's true today by introductions of new technologies. And not just to facilitate the things that we're doing today, but just imagine the new ways that we can go when we adopt them. But the central point for me is, what's the problem to solve?
Yeah, of course.
You know?
I agree. And think also about technology adoption, the technology adoption cycle. Early adopter lag behind, so there also in everything that is happening currently and will happen.
Yeah.
So I want to be a little bit controversial. I know we're supposed to talk about future trends, and we've got all this cool stuff. We've got AI coming in, and we've got all this interconnectivity. But a lot of what we hear in the conversations we're having in the United States right now, in Canada, and very much Latin America, is we can't afford that. So what I'm going to ask both of you is, what are the basic fundamentals for some of our membership and for the profession when they do not have the budget of a Fortune 5,000 company? How do you address that? What do you think, Erik?
Well, to be honest, even if you work at a Fortune 500 company, you might have not enough budget to do what you want to do. It is, no, I think, again, it is, when you don't have enough budget for the things that you really feel about you should do or must do, the question points back to yourself at first place. Did I explain this well enough? Did I make the appropriate argument at the appropriate levels in the organization? Did I really prepare for the case that I'm going to put forward? If I can't have the money this year, there's always a next year. If you didn't prepare that agenda for the next year, you find yourself in the same budget deficit position as you had this year. So I think, and I think that's typically also in terms of your investment planning as an FM or real estate person, it is first have the vision, the address, and then go execute, because you could state, let's say, here in Europe now, under the situation as we're in today, and the political geo situation, we saw these rising energy prices. I don't know what your budget is, but if you're going to do something about sustainability in terms of energy, it's going to pay for itself almost. The thing is, if you stop short by saying, okay, well, I just didn't have the budget, okay, nothing for this year, yeah, of course you won't get there. But you need basically also address the environmental, the things in your environment. What are the developments there? What are in next year's threats and that kind of thing? Can I prepare for that to basically able to cope with it better next year?
Yeah.
So, Jean-Pierre, if there's not enough budget, and you can't afford to make an avatar and, set up virtual training in the metaverse. How do we start? What are the fundamentals about where do we start?
I think Erik has made some very good points. One thing I always also say to my students is think about context. Local, regional context. Context can be different between United States and Europe, and within Europe, within the United States. There's a difference between Silicon Valley and New York and the Midwest of the US, for example. And then the second one would be try looking at good practices, benchmarks, and try to build partnerships, strategic partnerships, and maybe learn from that. And then zero base, set up your budget towards the goal that you want to achieve with the help of technology or by and with technology. So a step-by-step approach.
Excellent.
You just mentioned metaverse, and it basically popped up twice already. Can I say something about it?
If you say metaverse, so yes.
Metaverse?
Metaverse.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I think one in terms of in our business and technology, sometimes I think we should be more prone to humanistic use of technology. Let's say, so basically putting the interest of the human in front of anything that you do, and look for types of technologies that are really of a humanistic nature in terms of respecting individual or respecting the interests of the individual that are going to be basically interacting with that technology in what way or another. When I take that to the metaverse, I have very, very high doubts whether it's going to be helpful for us to be better people, better organizations, have better relationships, because here we get into what's the metaverse versus the building. And I don't know, perhaps you did some research on it. I would be very interested to learn from that. But I seem to have this kind of notion that, well, if we're going to digitize everything we do together, why would we be together physically today? I like meeting with you again since last year. And if it's all going to be virtual, what's left of our lives then?
But then you would be talking digital twin.
Yeah.
But I was just 2 weeks ago, I was at a keynote on metaverse by someone who is closely working with the old Facebook and the current Meta company. And he presented some good practices, benchmarks, key examples of big companies, and one of them was Coca-Cola, which is not a small company, as we know. And Coca-Cola has something that is now called Coca-Cola Next Lab. And Next Lab is in the metaverse, and they are doing, Coca-Cola is a marketing machine. They are doing a new kind of marketing and even nudging by using metaverse, and also by including things like, if you talk sustainable development goals, for example, there is a sustainable development goal that is on diversity and inclusion and equality, and they align that with what they are doing in Coca-Cola Next Lab. So here, the metaverse in this example is an add-on to what Coca-Cola is already doing or has already been doing for decades. So what I'm saying is that metaverse can also be an add-on and should not replace, and I agree with Erik, should not replace what we as humans are doing and hopefully will still be doing in the coming eras.
You just made me think of something about, are we going to end up with a second digital divide between, developed countries and underdeveloped countries, between the adoption of, some of these technologies we've been talking about, and specifically the metaverse? I mean...
Yeah, I think you have a point. Yeah, it could be a societal division, but also a division between developed and underdeveloped. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the societal division is even more risky.
Yeah.
Because if you look at older generations, for instance, basically not educated in the domain, and with the pace of our current developments, man, it's like you become, let's say, almost digitally retarded if you're not going to keep up with things for half a year or something, and that's something, and you can't educate that into the full into the full public.
But also in terms of income, we are talking about budget.
Yeah.
That keynote that I was talking about a few moments ago, one of the things was that you would need to buy the special appliances, the Oculus, for example, that is being developed. Meta is developing, Apple is developing, Microsoft, Google, you name them, all the big hotshot companies, big tech companies are developing that. But who has the buying power for that?
Exactly.
The companies normally have buying power budgets, but not all companies. There's a difference between a small, a medium-sized, or a big company. And then if you go to us as individuals, not everyone has that buying power. So to be aligned with what is happening, again.
Which is a great point, actually, because what I think is massively interesting is not so much, you have the application, so let's say you do metaverse. So Facebook is providing me with metaverse for free. When I would be a professional in FM and looking at its adoption, my question would be, in what business model am I entering here, instead of paying a license for each user and basically having another distribution model? Because money has to be made here, money has to be made here. So how are they making money there? And is that in line with the interests of my organization? And I think in terms of, in the world of FM and real estate, we don't think about that enough. We just look at the technology and the application. Oh, that's great. I want to have it. And don't think about what's the earning model of the supplier. And when it's for free, it's even better because you don't need a budget.
And if I may, I would compare that to a Pavlovic state of mind. You see something and the dog starts to, give me the food. I need that one. So that's Pavlov.
It's Pavlov, yeah. Yes. So but it's a fundamental question, like we had this morning with the whole cybersecurity thing.
Yeah. Jean-Pierre, you brought up ChatGPT a little bit earlier. And I was talking at the break with someone else about ChatGPT. And I got an email this morning from Google saying, try Bard. We just released it, we fixed it. So what do you think we should be concerned about versus happy about with adopting artificial intelligence?
Yeah, I've been subscribing to ChatGPT real quickly and trying it out. And I found out, first insights were, wow, fantastic, this really works. Second insight was, oh, there are mistakes in there. Third insight would be, what about privacy? Where are all the things? We don't have privacy anymore. We put everything we have into the open air. But here it becomes really an issue. And ethics. So these are concerns that we really need to look at. And for example, Erik knows this even better than I do, I suppose. The European Union is currently looking into, you have GDPR already, but you have like ethical regulations that are being put into place that is different from what is happening in the United States. I know you have in your state of law, you have different approaches to those things. But what about China, for example? You have 3 commercial blocks in the world, United States, China, European Union. So these are real issues to have a look at in the coming years.
And there's other elements to this as well. Because these ChatGPT, this machine learning, is of course based on data sets, learning a neural model, and basically having the result of that is that the neural model will respond in a certain fashion. So it's, what's in the data will be in the response. So if there's prejudice there, the response will show prejudice. At the same time, and so to just finish that, do we know what data sets are in there? So can we basically judge the response to what we're getting? That's one. Second, the nature of these models, of these neural models, is you can't express their algorithm. So there's this movement in AI, explanatory AI, which will explain the thinking behind the answer. We're not there yet, of course. So basically you're in the dark today because you don't know the data set and you don't know the algorithm or the decision-making process behind it. To me, for facility management, that would, for instance, I would be driven to thinking like, don't do it at the workplace, but use it on your physical infrastructure. Because learning about building operations in terms of HVAC is, of course, it's a number game. But basically having an AI tell you about how to better put your workplace together because people would be more happy, that's tricky today. Really tricky. I would never go there today. At least that's
it will be a learning experience. I'm a big believer of open innovation.
Me too.
And open innovation, I also teach it, but not just because of teaching it. I'm a big believer of that. I've published on it also. But what I want to say is that OpenAI as a company originating back to Elon Musk, as you will know, Elon Musk is everywhere, and on Twitter also. But it's a good thing that the open innovation thing is behind the scenes, is there. So that's a good one. And the second one, you already said it, both of us. It will be a step-by-step learning experience. Deep learning means that you only get out of it what is put into it. And there the ethical issues will come and surface. Yeah.
So it would be looking into the future. You would have these two chatbots. One is created in China and one is created in the US. Yeah. You ask them the same question.
You're going to get different answers.
Yeah. But in the communist system, China will never have an open AI or will never have a ChatGPT because in their mindset, this is prohibited by law. So
it might even be a stronger tool. If it gives the
right
answers.
If it is feeded by them, of course. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's and then it could be basically everywhere. You know, and that's even more of a threat.
There was recently a nice case in the US where there was an artificial lawyer put into place, proposed to do rulings in New York on court cases of street violations, road violations. But then all the lawyer representatives they opposed it, and it was put to a stop. So that's a recent case in New York, as I read somewhere. So.
Yep. So I know we're about at time. I thought I'd share one thing and get your feedback on both and how to apply an actual thing, example of the metaverse, practical, that just happened last month. So not Europe, not the United States, Colombia, authorized the use of the metaverse for traffic court.
For?
Traffic court. You got a speeding ticket, you're going to court, but you can put on your glasses and the judges. So this is very real. Okay. So the country of Colombia, specifically the prefecture of Bogota, said, let's try using the metaverse for this. We have all this traffic confession. Let's see if it works. So you can look it up on YouTube, but just conceptually, the idea of going to court, something legal.
That's just like the New York example.
Do you see how we could use that in certain aspects of FM?
Yeah. The simple example of looking at new facilities, how they are being built, and how the sustainability aspects of the building would look like. That you can do that in a metaverse environment, I suppose, and get insights in, let's say, a possibility A, possibility B, possibility C. Compare that, draw. But Erik is looking a bit doubtful.
I'm skeptical. I'm not sure.
So we're looking for an application for the technology instead of addressing a problem. But the thing is, to your point, you might do that. But in my mind, the immediate place, does the investment match up to the problem solved? And because it's very easy to talk about, oh, I can do this and that, but you have to put things in place that they will operate continuously, improve continuously. You know, we're both in the IWMS world. If the clients don't upgrade on a yearly, at least a yearly basis, they're running fast into enormous problems. You do the same with your clients. Now I'm going to stash all that technology and more in there, but you need to basically serve it and basically update it on a monthly basis, which is a cost. You started with, I don't have a budget. I say, when you look at the technology, does it pay out today? Might be different tomorrow when it's commercialized or whatever. Today,
and what if you bring business continuity into the big framework?
well, yeah, that's, but yeah, the interesting part. That's then you
I'm
go.
asking questions.
Yeah. That's, I think I like the question because that's insurance, and you pay an insurance fee for a certain.
That's what I wanted to
guarding
hear.
Factor. The question will be, will you live up to your promise in terms of guarding me? You know, and that's something again, of course. Yeah. But I think, to that point, that's a half financial.
Yeah.
Jean-Pierre, Erik, thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks everybody that's enjoying the podcast, and we're going to enjoy the rest of World Workplace Europe 2023 in Rotterdam.
For sure.
For sure, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.